stand in the place where you were. You're gonna need stands because I don't wanna hold mics. You don't wanna hold mics. Nobody wants to hold mics. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Justin Russell. I'm one of the educational coordinators at D2I, here to talk about my 10 essentials for audio. My first essential is really just a pair of studio monitor headphones. I currently have two examples of those sitting in front of me, two which I'm very familiar with. These are Sony studio monitor headphones, and I'm usually used to working with these in work settings. They are very flat in frequency, meaning that you won't hear too many bass frequencies over too many high frequencies, which is great. In comparison to these are Audio-Technica studio monitoring headphones, and these are both very affordable. These, now affordable is relative. When you're thinking of a pair of headphones, usually, let's say from Target, you would maybe expect to pay about 60 bucks. These here, this pair here goes for about $150 after tax. This here is around the same range, probably about $150. Maybe you can find them for about $125 in some retailers. But generally you're gonna pay about a little bit over $100 for some studio monitoring headphones. And that's just because they're built with a little bit more quality and with a little bit more purpose. We have two audio interfaces in front of me, both with different compatibilities and different capabilities, I would say. We have the Focusrite 2i2 Scarlett, very great performance interface. These are audio interfaces, let me be specific. Then we have the UM22 Behringer audio interface, also known as the Euphoria UM2. This one is very great because it's inexpensive. This is only like $50. I have multiple of these because they're really great and portable, and I can take them anywhere and just kind of set them up and plug things in and get going. I like a portable setup for what I'm doing professionally, creatively, so this really works great for what I'm doing here. So this is a 16-channel mixer. This is fantastic for if you are recording something a little bit more intricate than from what I was showing you before, where it only has 2 microphone inputs. This has 16 microphone inputs and also has several auxiliary inputs and outputs, as well as effects programmed into it that you can control using these potentiometers. If I turn it to the back, you'll see all of the different inputs and outputs here. We use this here for when we're recording voiceover, but it's really great for any time or any situation where you have more than 2 or 3 people in studio speaking at a time. So let's say we have a podcast where we have 5 different guests. This is a great mechanism to use it for. It's also an audio interface. There are some mixers out there that exist that are just mixers, meaning the only purpose they serve is to mix live audio. This, on the contrary, is actually an audio interface as well. So anything that you record into a recording software can be mixed right here into this board and then transferred back into the software that you're working in. So it's very, 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 very resourceful in that regard, and I love it for that reason. I mainly use this, and I consider it essential, I would say, because when I'm recording things on my own, and it's something a little bit more simple, like maybe a podcast between 2 people, which is what we do a lot of here. I can really easily do that with an interface like what I showed you before with the 2i2 or the UM22, or the UM2 rather. But this guy is specifically for if we have a large barbecue and if one person is setting up in a DJ booth while other people are recording in the vocal booth, while other people are doing interviews in another sector of the room. You can really have control over an abundance of things with this. So this is great. This is a Zoom H6 handy recorder, a very, very clutch recording instrument for when we're out in the field or when we're grabbing audio from an interview or when we are controlling a live stream and trying to get the audio feed straight into our ATEM, we use this thing. The Zoom recorder is one of my favorite things to have on a production because, as I said, it always comes in the clutch. And it has 4 inputs. This particular one has 4 inputs, 2 on each side, as you can see here, for your XLR cables. There's also an 1/8 inch input here. And it's a really great thing to have on a production because you just never know when audio is gonna, when your setup is gonna, crap out or give you a bad situation for when you're in the middle of a live stream, right? And so this thing is always great to have because it comes in the clutch. You can turn it back on, plug in whatever your audio source was crapping out of into this, and give it a listen. It'll generally just take a pressing of the record button and activating of the correct channels. So it's fantastic. These are XLR cables. You will not be able to basically record anything without these. So that's why they are essential, obviously. And most of the audio resources that we use here, or the audio hardware that we use here, requires an XLR connection. Like, for instance, all of our microphones require an XLR connection. Even the Zoom itself, the item I showed you before, requires an XLR connection in order for you to be able to, well, not necessarily requires, because you can use the 1/8 inch, but if you want to record anything other than the 1/8 inch, like for instance, if you have more than one person in there, then you'll probably need an XLR. No, you'll definitely need an XLR cable. So essentials, this is about as essential as it gets when it comes to audio. We have 2 Midi controllers. They're both AKAI Midi controllers, AKAI professional Midi controllers. I love AKAI, they're a great brand. This is the MPK 49 keyboard, and this is the MPK Mini keyboard. These are great. They allow me to plug my Midi connections up to my computer and then create music using the keys here. And I can also control all the effects inside of my software with these knobs and these faders. So yeah, this is super essential for me because I am a musician, and generally keys are kind of where I start with my songwriting. And so if you've ever seen me out and about, you maybe have you've seen this in my bag kind of everywhere I go. I keep this really on me because it's super portable. And if I'm just somewhere out and about with my laptop and I've got some time to spare, or if I'm in an airport, I can sit down and make some music on the side, right? Really cool. This is for more of my home recording situation here. And this is kind of what I do most of my songwriting on. Stands are really essential to me because in general, I like to do other things with my hands. I'm working with cameras, I'm playing music, whatever it is, while background audio or ambient audio is being recorded. So when that situation presents itself, I would like to have a stand as my essential so that I don't have to hold things. And that includes table stands for when I'm doing a podcast, right? I'm sitting at a podcast table speaking to someone across most of the time I don't want to have to. And I've seen this situation on podcasts and TV, on YouTube and things like that. And this is not really the most visually pleasing thing ever either. So most of the time stands, they're both visually pleasing and they are very convenient. All right, we got adapters. Adapters of all kinds are really my essential. Generally, if I'm on a production, I'll keep a bag of all of these different adapters. And these are just a few that we had handy in the studio. Like for instance, we have a dual XLR to dual 1/8 inch adapter, which can come in handy if you are faced with a situation where you only have these particular connections. And let's say you're faced with a situation where you only have these connections to work with, your line connections. However, the 1/8 inch ones aren't going to cut it. So in that case, you may need to plug them into a high fidelity adapter, or in other words, 1/4 inch adapter. But for the most part, the standard is the regular 1/8 inch connection into our cameras here. And so that's probably what we are using most often at D2I. The last one we have here is my microphone. And microphones in general, obviously. Microphones are gonna be very essential for whatever you're doing. You're gonna need a microphone in order to be able to pick up audio, obviously. Unless of course your camera has a microphone built into it, which most of them do nowadays, right? However, if it doesn't and you need an audio connection or an audio source to pick up, you'll probably have to use a microphone to get that. This here that I'm holding in my hand is the Shure SM58. It is a dynamic microphone generally used for live performances, inside theaters, arenas, that sort of thing. However, you'll find that some of our favorite musicians use this in their studios to record their own voices. And I'll just name a few. Some of my favorites are Kevin Parker of the band Tame Impala, Kurt Cobain, legendary guitarist and lead singer of Nirvana, Jack White from the White Stripes. There are a ton of people I could rattle off. Mac DeMarco, if there are any Mac DeMarco fans out there, he uses one of these. The Shure SM58 is a great microphone. It's a very vintage microphone. It's been around for a very long time. And there are also different models of this microphone, or different generations rather of this microphone that you might be interested in as well. The SM57, I believe that was the microphone that Michael Jackson recorded Thriller with. So Shure, great company. And this is my favorite microphone. You're gonna find yourself in different situations where microphones like this won't work and you may need a condenser. My advice to you is going to be to get online, search up the different types of microphones and the different directions, the different directional methods of each microphone. Learn as much as you can about them. Choose your favorite one, even get into the design if that's something that's important to you, and make some mistakes and get out there and do some recording. So that was my 10 essentials. I hope you liked them. Maybe there are some things that you agreed with in there. Maybe there are some things that you didn't agree with. I'd love to hear your essentials. If you have them, or if there are any that I missed, please comment, leave a comment in there if there are any that you can think of that I maybe did not. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.